Last week, me and several of my friends went to my gold claims near Buena Vista, Colorado on the Arkansas River and had a dredge outing. Randy and I spent time on his 4-inch dredge and taking 1 hour shifts in very cold water. It actually snowed on us a few times. There's still snow on the bank in places. Water temperatures were in the 30s, and it was cold and windy the first 2 days. The last day got really nice. We were able to put 8 hours total on the nozzle. So once we had it all pulled out of the river, we reclamated our spot and went to the gold cube and ran all of our concentrates through that. In the end result, we had about 2 cups of material that I brought home to Oklahoma, and I'm going to run them through my sluice and hope to be able to show you some nice gold that we'll pull out using what I call my Ubercon sluice. This little bag right here is 8 hours of concentrates. It's been 8 hours on a 4-inch dredge nozzle. Some pretty cold water, but came back with a little bit of gold. We're going to see just how much. This is my setup. I've got a couple pans for classifying it down, getting it to the right size that I want to run through this little sluice I built. I call this my Ubercon sluice because it takes super concentrates and makes them uber concentrates. It's windy, so you'll have to put up with the sound of wind in the video, but hopefully we'll get to see a little gold out of this. Okay, I am screening this material down with a plus 20 screen. No idea what's in here. On the Arkansas, there's almost never anything plus 20, but it helps with panning and classification. Everything you're going to do with gold to classify it like this. So obviously not too much material came out. We'll see if there's any surprising pickers in there. Well, I'd forgotten that we did actually find a little, I don't know if you call it a picker, but a tiny thick flake. How about that? Right there. Hopefully you can see it on the picture. It's bigger than I normally find on the Arkansas. That's it right there. So the next step is to go from supercons, which are actually concentrates coming out of a gold cube, to ubercons, and this is my Ubercon sluice, homemade. Has a regular pump, one that comes with a gold cube on it. I've got a little nozzle there so I can control the water flow. Comes around, comes up here, and down in this area there's a well that holds the water. It comes out very laminar across this, basically a Miller plate that I've put chalkboard paint on. And then I've got about 8 inches of regular rib matting. Well, I shouldn't say regular, it's rib matting that I have that I found works really well for this Arkansas River gold. And then below that I've got maybe 4 or 5 inches of Miracle Mat down here that I found is useful in that it takes this laminar flow that's coming off of the rib matting and gives it some diversity of flow, and these eddies sometimes will catch flat flakes that the rib matting will not. So between those two things, I've found this to be very, very effective in catching the fine gold out of the Arkansas. It might not work where you work or where you prospect, but it sure works here. So, and I've marked up here these numbers so I can get a gauge of just how far down the gold works down the rib matting. I've got it set at about a 9-degree angle today. Let's see how it works. Okay, I've got it running. You can see the basic idea. Very laminar flow coming over this flat plate, and then most of the gold drops right there at the first riffle, and then several inches of rib matting to catch super fines, and then it gets into this slightly more rapid style, diverse flow, catches the flatter flakes. And here's my concentrates. I can definitely see gold sitting on top there. I don't know if you can, but I sure can. Let's hope this works out good. It's definitely fun to watch this. This is 1 teaspoon of material, and I hope these little flakes will show up, because there's a bunch of them. Look at all those. That's great. And I got a lot of teaspoons to run. I've just run a few so far, probably 6 or 7 spoonfuls, that's all, but it is
it's looking pretty good. You can definitely see the gold there behind the first riffle, and then decent amount of gold working its way down, but most of it stops before about 5 inches. So, you know, there's occasionally flakes down here, but you can see that that different regime of the Miracle Mat is useful in catching some flakes that wouldn't have gotten caught by the rib matting. Okay, we are done. Again, this is 8 hours worth of dredge time, and a decent amount of gold there in the riffles, all the way down. And yes, there is a little bit all the way down to the last riffle, but by weight, it's a very low amount. And so we'll clean it up and see what we did. Okay, so this is everything that came out of the Ubercon. And you can imagine, I mean, you can see the gold piling up there in the corner. Let's go this way, there's some piling up there too. If I just pan off a little of this heaviest stuff, or I'm sorry, lightest stuff, the next step is to take a magnet to it and get rid of all the magnetics. And when I do that, you're left with about, I would say, 1 teaspoon of material left. And it's by far most of the gold. I'd say 90% of the gold is in there. Yeah, there's 10% in there, that's true. But I can rerun that and get that down to 99% with another run, and it only takes about 5 or 10 minutes to run it. So this has been my best approach so far of cleaning that crazy Arkansas River gold that has so much black sand in it and also is so fine. I get very frustrated trying to pan it. So I'll show you what it looks like after I get rid of the magnetics. So there it is with everything cleaned out. The magnetics are gone. The very lightest stuff is gone, and that's all the material that's left. And you can tell that that's a high percentage of gold. Gold, and then the red garnet sand and the lighter dark sands, black sands that come from the Arkansas that are the very heaviest. I'm not sure what all that is, but regardless, it's gotten rid of an awful lot of material, and what's left just isn't that much stuff. This is one of those little pans. This isn't even a full-size pan, and you can tell that that's like one teaspoon to maybe 1 tablespoon, but in general that's not much material. I can pan that. So this is what is left after I reran the concentrates again. Nice little string of gold, and it looks good, but I can guarantee you that by weight that is minuscule compared to what the first run caught. Those are mostly flat, tumbling flakes that are really hard for any box to catch. And so I'm very happy with the performance of this Uber sluice that I built. I will go ahead and add this to my cleanup, and we'll keep going and see how much I ended up with. So here it is. This is the final cleanup after panning and tapping and trying to separate that black sand from this extremely fine gold that we were finding on the Arkansas. And this is even finer than normal. This is 100 mesh, 200 mesh. I believe there's quite a bit less than 200 mesh in there. It's crazy just how fine this gold was this time. But regardless, here it is. A nice little pile of gold, and we're going to find out as I weigh it just how much this is. Okay, I'm going to try to weigh it. It's kind of hard to film and weigh at the same time, but that's what I'm trying to do. So let's see how this goes. I expect it to be pretty good. It's adding up. Yeah, I'd say we did pretty well. Look at that. I've got to find a way to tap that out. Okay, after tapping it out, that's the final tally. 8.24 grams, over a 1/4 ounce of gold. in 8 hours of dredging there on the Arkansas. It was a spot that Randy had identified a couple years ago, but there's a lot of fishermen there and we didn't want to mess with it. But being in April, we thought we could get in there, and it really paid off. That was a great spot. And this fall, maybe we'll try again in a similar place, but I think we both got ideas on other spots we could do that we do every bit this good. So anybody that says there isn't good gold on the Arkansas, they just haven't done their time trying to sample pan and identify good spots, because if you work good material and you put a lot of hours on the dredge, it does add up. Thanks, Randy, for helping me move quite a bit of dirt in a short amount of time, and I can't wait till the next time I get to go out there.